So thank you for joining us today and welcome to Trust Hub webinar number 7. My name is Gemma Bissell and I'm the marketing manager for Trust Hub. Joining me today is our product manager, Giulio Buccieri. So today's topic is how to effectively manage access for contractors and non-resident visitors. So when we refer to non-resident visitors, who exactly are we talking about? Well, this could be anyone from a plumber who has been called out specifically to complete work in an individual unit, or maybe during term period when the majority of a building is empty, a property manager decides to hire some painters to go into all vacant units and apply a fresh coat of paint, ready for the next tenant. There are many different situations that would require a non-resident to need temporary access to one or more units at any given time. And when that happens, you want to ensure that it's handled in the most secure and efficient way possible. In our webinar today, we're going to go over the ways in which the Trust Hub access control feature allows you to do just that.
Yeah, thanks, Gemma. And like she said, I'm Giulio, product manager here at Trust Hub. In case you aren't familiar with the Trust Hub platform, we're a facilities IoT solution purpose-built for student housing, senior living, residential, and commercial MDUs. Our platform utilizes IoT-driven smart devices to push actionable data back to property staff, allowing them to remotely identify when a potentially risky condition is present within a unit. We also have developed our own suite of access control features, which makes granting and revoking access a breeze and makes wasting time to find or copy keys a thing of the past. Our solution empowers management teams with more efficient ways to manage vacant units and provides a proactive approach to maintenance problems, which enables them to significantly reduce costs and increase their overall NOI. If anyone's interested, we have a number of different use cases available for download for free on our website, so you can see some examples of how we've helped properties across the country reduce their costs and increase property NOI. Be sure to also check out the library of how-to videos available on our site, which are a collection of 90-second tutorial clips on the many different features available within our platform.
So in case you hadn't already guessed, the Trust Hub solution uses smart locks to facilitate our access control features within the platform. These smart locks are simple to install and very user-friendly. They come with a touch pin entry option and of course the ability to be opened with a physical key if needed. Residents do have access to a smartphone app where they can conveniently unlock the door to their unit with just a tap. But keep in mind, the app is only accessible to residents. Another resident-only feature that works with our smart locks is Amazon Alexa, which is something else we'll be touching on briefly during this webinar. So let's say a leak has been detected in Unit 101. The on-site maintenance team is sent out to inspect the issue and they realize the leak is related to a problem with the plumbing in the unit located directly above Unit 101. Therefore, they need to arrange for a licensed plumber to be called out to assess the situation. This plumber will need to access not only Unit 101, but also Unit 201 on the floor above. He's scheduled to arrive at the property around 2 p.m. and is expected to be able to take care of the problem within 4 hours or so. So Giulio, if the property manager was to use the Trust Hub portal to grant temporary access for the plumber in this particular situation, how exactly would that process work?
So the great thing about our platform solution, of course, is that you can control all your devices from anywhere, and this extends throughout all of our access control features as well. With traditional keys, or even some types of smart keys, you'd still need to have someone meet the plumber on site with keys for each unit. Some key solutions also have sophisticated storage units or safes that only certain personnel can access, and those personnel need to be physically on site to access them. With our solution, in this scenario, with just a few clicks, you can create a temporary user and grant them access to the 2 units that they need access to. On top of that, you can schedule the times that their access will be granted and revoked, so no need to have to keep a team member around to potentially have to stay on site and work overtime just to gather a key from a contractor who's running late. So let's dive into the manager portal so I can show how you can easily and securely grant personnel temporary access to control multiple smart locks on your property. In this video, I'm logged in as the property manager here, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a user, and I'm going to use the new temporary user role. I can set this user up however I want and assign them to as many or as few places as possible. For this test, I'm just going to give the account access to one unit. If I was granting access to this unit to a user, for example, maybe has worked on the property before, I could just select their user account from here and add the temporary access to this unit for a set period of time. But since this is a new user, I'll go ahead and enter their email address. Now, whatever access I give this user will be revoked based on the scheduled enable and disable dates and times. You can set up users as far in advance as you want, and they'll activate at the given set time. Once you hit save, the user will get an email to activate their account to gain access. So now let's hop over to mobile and show how an example user would complete activation and gain access to the lock. The user would fill out this form using the same email address that was registered in the platform. Once they complete this, they're able to access the devices they were given control over. For this user, they'll have access to one lock in one unit. Here in the Quick Access module, you can select the unit and lock or unlock it. If a user had access to multiple properties, buildings, or units, they'd be able to use the location breadcrumb to navigate through them, and they'd be able to access all their assigned locks in this fashion. At the specified time, their credentials would be revoked, and they would no longer be able to lock and unlock the units they were granted access to without any further interventions needed by the property staff.
Thanks, Julio. So in addition to the example of the plumber needing temporary access to the 2 units, as we just discussed, what would be another typical scenario in which property managers would need to leverage the access control feature?
Right, well, like pretty much all of our features, we developed this with property managers and their teams in mind. In speaking to many of them, we heard the same pain points in regards to access control over and over again. Rekeying after move-outs, removing and relocating hundreds of locks every 12 months, after-hours lockouts, keys being lost or stolen, being able to grant and revoke access en masse instead of one at a time. All of these scenarios are handled easily and quickly with our access control features. Let's say you have a crew renovating kitchens across a property. You can grant them credentials to the units needed on the fly without them having to exchange keys, only having access to the specified units for as long as you allow. Instead of having to fumble with huge rings of keys, multiple fobs, or having to remember tons of PIN codes, the contractors can just use their mobile phone to go in and out of the rooms they need to be in, and can't get into any areas you don't grant them access to. And on top of all this, instead of having to worry about a paper trail, people signing out physical master keys, all of the ins and outs are logged within the platform.
And another great feature I wanted to highlight, the Trust Hub access control feature allows visibility into full audit logs. So this is essentially the history of when each door has been locked and unlocked and by who. So Julio, can you give us some more information on why that kind of information would be beneficial for property staff to track?
Yeah, again, it's just another pain point we heard and wanted to address. Now, at a lot of properties, you can walk in, give an ID, sign your name on a piece of paper, and walk out with a master key that will let you into every room on the property. There's a lot of trust involved in that. Nowadays, many busy properties do not want to have the stress that comes with having a master key lost in the field. With our solution, you can still gather copies of ID when you create their account for your own internal housekeeping. The platform will keep a log of every action any account takes. You'll be able to see just how many times any lock was accessed, by who, and when. In addition to seeing any lock and unlocks triggered by residents via app or by PIN, you can also see all other access events within the platform, including failed attempts. Our audit logs keep track of all device interactions, so you can easily see who changed any setting. With the Quick Access module, users will only see the locks they're granted access to, so there's no way they'll be able to gain access to any units that aren't listed.
So as you can see, this all makes life a lot easier for on-site property staff by, of course, reducing the need for them to go out and meet contractors in person to manually unlock doors or worry about having to collect any keys afterwards. And from a security standpoint, it gives staff the peace of mind to know that when a contractor has finished working in any given unit, their access automatically terminates. So there's no potential that any non-resident personnel can come back and unnecessarily re-enter the property at a later date. Realistically speaking, physical keys falling into the wrong hands does present a great amount of risk for property managers. We're hearing about many resident buildings that are now wanting to integrate these smart locks, not only as a value add for residents, but also because of how it significantly cuts down on unnecessary man hours by, of course, giving internal teams the ability to handle building access management entirely remotely.
Right, and that's really the physical aspect of access control, right? So with our solution, you won't have to have massive machines taking up space to keep track of keys that get checked out by maintenance staff. You won't have to stress about a key being broken or lost, walk all the way back to your office or to the maintenance shed just because you forgot a key or because you ran into a resident who was locked out. After hours lockouts are a breeze. It can even be handled fully remotely. The platform is available 24/7, so you can easily handle even the most time-sensitive issues related to access from anywhere at any time. With TrustHab, the key is always at your fingertips. Whether you're in front of your PC or accessing via mobile or tablet, all your access control tools are available to you.
So you may recall earlier in the webinar, I briefly mentioned some of the resident-focused amenities that accompany our smart lock solution, like its integration with Amazon Alexa, and also being able to use the resident app to lock or unlock doors. I'm not going to go into depth about our resident focus features in this particular webinar, but I did want to just give you guys a glimpse of what our resident app looks like. Here you can see a screenshot of the devices dashboard within a resident's account. So this is exactly what a resident would see. This is a great value add that you as a property can offer to your residents. It provides convenience, security, and positions you as a property that has incorporated many of those highly desired smart home amenities. Julio is now going to show you what it would look like if you were to use the access control feature to grant or revoke access specifically for residents.
Thanks, Gemma. And of course, access control is a coin with two sides, resident access and property access. So let's go over how you can easily and securely grant residents access to smart locks on your property by utilizing some of the access control features in TrustHab. So since we're focusing on residents right now, first thing we're going to do here is create a resident and assign them to a unit. You can create residents one at a time or in bulk via CSV upload. For more information on the residents module, check out our videos on trusthab.com. For this test resident here, I'm going to give them access to one unit. When you create their account, you also enter an email for each resident. When you assign access to a unit with a lock, you'll get this additional prompt to grant the newly created resident access as well. Once you create the resident and accept the prompt, they'll get an email to activate their TrustHab residence account. If they were assigned to a unit with a lock controlled by TrustHab, they'll get another email with their PIN code for the lock. Resident PIN codes are not visible anywhere from within the platform, so property personnel will never know any individual resident's PIN. If a resident ever forgets or loses their PIN code, another PIN can be generated through the manager portal by revoking the resident's access and then granting it again. To activate their TrustHab residence account, the user will need to download the app through the links in the email. Once the resident downloads the app, they can activate their account by using the code they received in the email and then complete registration. They'll need to enter the correct email address they provided the property management or leasing team, which would be the email entered in the platform, and then they can pick their contact preferences, set their mobile number and password, accept the terms, and complete registration. Once they're in the app, the resident will have the ability to control all of the devices associated within the unit they're assigned, including locking and unlocking their door while they're on property. It's a really simple way to grant residents multiple ways to access their lock securely, and it takes far less time to set up than creating a new key or changing a lock. No hardware to rekey, no physical keys to lose, and full audit logs available in the platform.
So just as a quick summary to recap everything we've covered so far, an effective access control system has the following benefits. Simplify the management of access to the building. So of course, there's no need to worry about having keys made to distribute to non-resident visitors, and instead temporary or permanent credentials are remotely issued. So very, very convenient. Eliminate the risk of physical keys being misplaced or even stolen. Especially in today's times, there are significant risks and costs if a key falls into the wrong hands, not to mention the cost that comes with having to rekey a building entirely. Improved tracking and audit trails. So obviously you can't keep record of when physical keys are used, but with this solution, you gain insight to who came and went through each door and when, and it is all logged automatically. and also reduce the need for property or maintenance staff to manually lock or unlock doors each time a contractor arrives, of course, saving you time. Additionally, eliminate the risk of forgetting to lock or improperly locking any doors.
Yeah, spot on, Gemma. And we've heard from some of our partners that it usually takes 18 to 20 minutes total to handle a lockout, from reporting to getting the key to getting the key to the resident. So you can literally shave that workflow down to just a couple minutes or less by using the platform. And you can even do it from the safety of your office, or at the very least, from more than 6 feet away from the resident. But imagine how many times a week or a month you get resident lockouts. Multiply that by 20 minutes each, and you'll notice how much time you can save. It's just another way we're realizing savings through the platform and helping property management teams and their personnel work more efficiently and minimize exposure.
In case this is your first time hearing about the Trust Hub solution, I also wanted to add that in addition to smart locks, we also integrate with a number of other smart devices. Thermostats, flood and freeze sensors, smoke sensors, door and window sensors, light switches, and even outlets, just to name a few more. We also have a powerful real-time alerting system that enables property staff to remotely identify potentially risky conditions within units. You can actually learn more about these proactive maintenance alerts in any of our previously recorded webinars, which are all over on our website. The great thing about our solution is you will see an ROI in as short as 9 months.
Thanks, Gemma. So in summary, a facilities IoT solution can be a great way for property managers to efficiently manage access for those who are visiting a property on a temporary basis. In addition, our solution can be leveraged to analyze runtime data from afar, spot inefficient HVAC units, and tend to potential maintenance malfunctions before they result in costly equipment breakdowns, ultimately saving you a lot of headaches, man hours, and avoidable repair expenses. We hope this webinar gave you some valuable insight to this. And of course, if there's anyone out there that would like to take a more in-depth look at our platform and the various benefits our solution provides, feel free to reach out to us and a member of our team will be more than happy to give you a demo.
So as we near the end of this webinar, we are now going to move over to the Q&A session. It looks like we have 4 questions that Julio is going to answer for us today. And for anyone else that is still with us, there is still time to submit your questions using the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen. So the first question is, would the smart locks be affected if the building Wi-Fi was temporarily down?
So of course it depends on the devices deployed and the networks on site, but most of our partners utilizing access control have used it through our LTE Wi-Fi combination gateway. So they have redundant connectivity in case their Wi-Fi does go out. In a case where the property does not utilize this redundancy, all of our integrated locks have PIN codes as well, which would work even when there's no connectivity. Of course, in case of emergencies, the actual physical key could be used, and the property manager or responsible party on site would also have access to a master PIN code that would work in case of an internet outage as well.
Okay. Question number 2. What is the expected battery life on each door lock, and what would happen if one died or the pin failed to function?
So in the field, we're usually seeing upwards of 12 to 18 months or more on battery life. And another advantage of our platform is that we're constantly monitoring this as well. So you'll get alert notifications whenever batteries are low. Most properties like to do batteries on a scheduled interval, but with Trust Hab, you'll have visibility into all your devices at all times. So you'll know when a battery is just running low or when it's critical and needs to be addressed immediately.
Okay, thank you, Julio. Question number 3. If a resident forgets their PIN and doesn't have their physical key available, what's the typical process for assigning them a new PIN?
Yeah, so even if a resident forgets their PIN, if they know their login for their Trust Hab residence account, they can still log in through the app and access their lock there as well. As far as assigning them a new PIN, it's easy for a manager portal user to go into the platform, go to the residence module, search for the resident, revoke their current forgotten PIN, thus invalidating it on the lock, and then assigning them a new PIN. Manager portal users cannot see PINs anywhere in the interface. They're blindly and securely delivered only to the resident's defined email or phone number. So the resident has peace of mind knowing that no one else has ever even seen their PIN code.
Okay. And question number 4. What brand of smart locks do you use?
So right now we have a few brands out in the field, mostly utilizing various Yale and Kwikset Z-Wave locks. We're also working with other top manufacturers on integrating different types of various hardware and protocol configurations. So very soon we'll have a lock to satisfy pretty much any use case that we would run into.
It's good to know. For everyone out there, if there is any more questions, we still do have a couple of more seconds. So if not, we will go ahead and conclude this webinar. Thank you to everyone again that stuck around until the very end. If you have any questions or want further information, you can always reach out to us by emailing contact@trusthab.com, and be sure to head over to our website where you'll be able to learn more about the other devices we integrate with. As I previously mentioned, we aren't limited to just door locks. Keep an eye out for details on our next webinar. We hope you'll join us for that one too. Thank you again, everyone, and we hope you all stay safe.